Good morning, scholars. We are on lesson 7 of Greek, the Mighty. We are going to talk about our lesson objective for today. Our lesson objective is to examine the significance of names and nicknames. So throughout this whole chapter, we're going to be especially looking at the nicknames that are in here. All right, let's move on to our do now. For our do now, we have an article, the history of the word freak. So I'd like you to pause this video and read that now. Now that you've read that article, we're going to talk about why the author of this article may have included the origin of the word freak in paragraph 1. I want you to try to figure out why he would have done that. Our next question is, in this narration, Max uses the name Freak instead of the name Kevin. Why might this be? Why do you think Max uses Kevin's nickname more than his normal name? Knowing what you know about the word freak now, let that influence your answer. Pause the video if you need more time. We're going to move on to our last question from our do now. It says, on page 32, Tony D says, what is this, a freak show? What might he mean by this? And how is this use of the word different from Max's? And I want you to explain your thinking. Think back to that article about freak shows and the word freak. All right, now that we're done with our do now, let's move on to vocab. Our first vocab word for the day is converge. I want you to repeat after me. Converge. Converge. All right. Converge is an action word. It's a verb. And it means to move toward one another or to come together. So we can see that the two paths in the picture are coming together. So they were apart and now they're together. They are converging. Our next vocab word is alias. Alias. Remember to repeat after me, alias. An alias is a noun or an adverb. So it can either be a thing or it can be used to describe an action word. And it means a false name and it can replace the phrase otherwise known as. So that's how it's used as an adverb. But a false name. A criminal might use a false name to hide their identity. All right, let's look at our questions from this, from the vocab. Our first one is, how is an alias similar to a nickname and how might it be different? Pause the video and answer that question. Then our second one, how did Max and Freak's lives converge for the first time and what made them converge a second time? So what brought their lives together a first time and then a second time? When you're done, move on to cycle 1.